Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me, and in today's video what I want to do is just share with you a few of the books that I'm reading these days. I've got 3 books going at the moment, which is pretty typical for me, and 2 of them relate to my 2026 bucket list challenge, which you'll be familiar with if you have been on my channel before. And then the other one does not relate to it really, but I just wanted to read it. So I'll start with that one actually. This book I have been reading for probably about a month now, and I'm moving through it real slowly. I'm a little over halfway through it, but it's pretty dense. It's kind of book you want to read slowly to digest each piece as you read it. So this is an anthology. It's called American Struggle, Democracy, Dissent, and the Pursuit of a More Perfect Union by Jon Meacham. And it won the Pulitzer Prize. I will say Jon Meacham didn't really write this book. He's more the editor of this book because it is an anthology of documents from throughout American history. It starts during the colonial era and it goes right up to the present day. So it's a great book to read for the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence this year. That's kind of why I'm reading it. And it's a fabulous book if you are interested in, not politics per se, but kind of the debates that have shaped American history. It's a collection of writings, speeches, letters, excerpts from books by thinkers and writers and intellectuals and politicians, presidents, first ladies, on kind of all of the issues that Americans have argued over for the past several hundred years. So you name it, it's covered in here, slavery, race, gender, civil rights. It's also, in many cases, very inspiring. Some of the speeches that are most famous from presidents during times of crisis. Some of the highlights for me have been the presidential speeches, like particularly speeches by Abraham Lincoln, at the start of his second term, the with malice towards none, or with malice for none, with charity for all. That speech is in here. Theodore Roosevelt's speech about how it's not the critic that counts, but the man in the arena. I love that one. That is in here. Franklin Roosevelt on "We have nothing to fear but fear itself" during the Great Depression. That's here as well. So a lot of those most inspiring moments. My other favorite so far in this book is Frederick Douglass. Several of his writings are included in here. What to the Slave is the 4th of July. That speech is in here. I'll just read you what some of the folks on the back have to say about it. This collection of pivotal American documents is all about the contrasts that flow from American pluralism over time. But it is even more about poignancies and conflicts that arise over and over in our history. Here are Hamilton and Jefferson, Calhoun and David Walker, Andrew Jackson and the Seneca Falls Declaration, Frederick Douglass and Andrew Johnson. FDR timelessly takes on fear, and Huey Long, rich people. Democracy marches in many tongues here, but so does authoritarianism, American style. If there is a soul in American history, it emerges, indeed explodes, from these pages. So, I highly recommend, but like I said, read it slowly. It's pretty thought-provoking. I have been reading this over breakfast each day, like basically 1 or 2 pieces. So it's just been sitting on the breakfast table, and because breakfast is, or morning, I'm a morning person, so I can't read this before bed. It's just too thought-provoking, and it demands too much of your brain's focus. So if you're trying to avoid scrolling on your phone while you eat breakfast, picking up a book like this can be helpful for that. That's kind of why I read at breakfast, so that I don't just immediately check my phone or get into my emails or look at the news. I'd rather read something to start my day, and yeah, this has been great for that. And then on the fiction side of things, I have been reading a novel. One of the items on my 2026 bucket list challenge is to read a literary classic. So I did try to pick something that counts as a literary classic. And I went to the library and I picked up this anthology of novels and short stories by James Baldwin, whom I've never read before. I actually have not read a ton of American literature, and I'm trying to kind of fix that this year by focusing on American authors. Again, just, you know, my way of honoring our the semiquincentennial, trying to fill in the gaps in my knowledge of American literature. I pretty much have read, you know, whatever I was assigned to during my junior year of high school. But then, from then on, I have gravitated more to writers from other parts of the world. I majored, in fact, in comparative literature in college, which is kind of a world literature major. And I read mostly French, Russian, and Japanese authors in college. So, yeah, got to get caught up on my American literature. And James Baldwin is one of those writers that I feel like I should have read by now, but haven't. And not being familiar with his work, I just started at the beginning. This is his early novels and stories, edited by Toni Morrison. So I just started with the first one, which was his first novel, Go Tell It on the Mountain, and I am nearly done with it. And wow, I'm so glad that I gave Baldwin a chance, because he is a beautiful writer and incredibly powerful. So this novel, to tell you a little bit about it, it's centered on one young man coming of age in Harlem in the 1930s. His father is a preacher, and his family is very religious, and religion is certainly one of the major themes of the novel, but also just the family's relationships, particularly like fathers and sons, is very much a theme. Race is also a theme. This is a black family, and so they have experienced a lot of racial discrimination, of course, in 1930s. And although it's centered around the one young man, and this is an autobiographical novel, by the way, so the main character is sort of a stand-in for James Baldwin himself, and he wrote it, let's see, it says in the inside dust jacket, it says that 10 years in the writing, its exploration of religious, sexual, and generational conflicts was described by Baldwin as an attempt to exorcise something, to find out what happened to my father, what happened to all of us. So yeah, it's very much about his troubled relationship with his father. And the point of view does switch from one character to another, and a lot of the story is actually told in flashbacks as well, so it's very non-linear. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I'm so impressed with not just the beauty of Baldwin's writing, but his empathy for his characters. I mean, the way he just captures the nuances of, you know, the range of human emotion. Anyway, the story is frequently heartbreaking. Like, I haven't outright cried, but I've come close while reading this book. So it's not a particularly easy read emotionally, but it is very, very moving, very powerful. Anyway, it's a lovely book. I'm so glad that I picked it up, and I definitely plan to read more Baldwin in the future. I'm not going to read this whole edition of 4 books in one right now, just because I'm going to need to take a break from him after finishing this first book, because it is intense. You know, it's heartbreaking, it's difficult often to read, just because the stories are painful of these characters. And I'm about to go on vacation, so I'm going to read something very light and frothy to kind of as a palate cleanser, so to speak. And then the third item I wanted to show you is I'm reading an ebook, and this one is to address another item on my bucket list challenge, which is to learn a new technical skill to add to your resume. Well, I don't know if this really counts as a technical skill. I think I need to refine what I really mean by the technical skill. But what I'm trying to learn more about is AI, of course. Aren't we all? Well, we're either resisting AI or we're trying to learn it. So I'm reading Artificial Intelligence for Dummies. I am not a dummy, but in technical terms, I guess I could be considered a dummy, because I don't really know how AI works. I mean, I know how to type a question into ChatGPT and get an answer. I think we pretty much all know that by now, but I'm finding that for my job, I need to understand AI on a deeper level because it is becoming increasingly part of the work that I do. I'm fortunate in that I don't feel like my job is going to be replaced by AI anytime soon, but I do need to understand it not just as somebody who is, asking AI for help with my job, but I need to be able to do some configuration of an AI agent. And, I want to understand what's actually happening when I edit the prompt, for example. I want to be able to write prompts effectively for AI agents. I don't know how I would put that on my resume, and I don't know what else I may be asked to do in the future with AI, but, like everybody, I need to get more on board with the fact that AI is really transforming the workplace, and my job is going to change drastically as a result, and I just want to be out ahead of that, and not like paddling to keep up. Yeah, reading this book in order to get kind of a foundational knowledge of how AI works so that I can adapt to its ever-increasing presence in my workspace. Now, this book I'm finding, even though it is called For Dummies, I am finding it to be pretty technical. So I'm not always following what all the terminology means. I just don't have that background. I have a humanities background, and even though I actually now work in IT, but I don't have an IT background at all. So yeah, there are a lot of missing pieces, a lot of gaps in my knowledge of what this book is talking about. I just don't have that frame of reference, but I know that if I keep on reading and maybe take an online course or two, I will eventually get there. So yeah, those are the 3 books that I am reading right now. I am going to take a break from all of them. Well, I'll probably finish Go Tell It on the Mountain before my trip, but I am going to take a break and read something light and fluffy on my vacation, which will probably mean a murder mystery. But I would love to know what you are reading these days. Comment down below with your book of the moment, particularly if the 2026 Bucket List Challenge has prompted you to pick up any particular books. Like I said, 2 of mine are to cross items off that list. And then later in the year, I've got to read a political biography. That's another item on the 2026 Bucket List Challenge that involves me picking up a book that I might not normally read. So if you have any recommendations for that, please drop those down below, because I'm all over the place in terms of trying to figure out what I want to read there. But yeah, let me know what you're reading these days. I would love to know. And with that, I want to thank you, as always, for watching. I really appreciate your being here. And I will see you again soon after I get back from my vacation. Take care until I see you again. Thanks, everybody. Bye.